So, hello, everyone. Hi, I am Dr. Amanda here with Atkins Enlightenment Lifestyle Medicine. And I just wanted to start with a moment that happens often in my practice and has happened, many times before. So just come along with me with this story of a patient um, and see if you can see yourself in her or know someone that is like her. Okay, so just imagine there's a woman that's sitting here, you're just like a fly on the wall. And she's just sitting quietly, sitting across from me, and she looks tired and not just physically, but emotionally. And then she says something that I've heard, you know, hundreds of times. And it's, I've tried everything and I don't understand why my body won't cooperate. She's not angry. She's not dramatic. She's not defensive. She doesn't feel defeated. She does feel defeated. And if that sentence has ever crossed your mind, I want you to say with me today, because the answer is probably not what you think. Okay. Stay with me today. So you've tried everything and it just feels like nothing is working and you feel defeated. Okay. So I'm going to go through the story and, for violation wise, we don't want to, go into any violations. So I'm just going to call her Angel. Um, and Angel did what she was told. She counted her calories, she skipped her meals, she joined programs, she pushed herself in her workouts, even though she hated them. Like a person that didn't go to the gym, but when she started to go to the gym, she really didn't want to sweat. And then once she started sweating, it's like, oh gosh, now I have to go and do a shower and do all these other things. Okay. So these are things in her mind. And at first, you know, she started to see some things work and the scale went down and started compliments to come in and she felt hopeful. But then something changed. The weight loss slowed down, then it stopped. Then the scale started to go the other way. Even though she was eating less than before, she was exercising like she had been in the past. And that's when shame crept in. She told herself, I must not be disciplined enough, or maybe it's just my genetics. Everyone in my family is just overweight, and I'm just doomed to be that way. Also, and maybe this happens as you just get older, our body just, can't take it anymore. And it's just, the aging factor. But what's really happening had nothing to do with willpower. Okay. So before I go along with her story, I just want you guys to know that there is hope. And I'm not telling you these things to make you feel down, but just to see if like you felt like Angel has, because I know I've been in those shoes. And so that's why I can empathize a lot with her story. And if you can, resonate so far with what's like I said, we're calling her Angel, patient is going through, I want you to type me in the chat or a thumbs up. So everyone else out there that's like, oh, nobody else goes through this, they know that they're not alone. Okay. So put a thumbs up or me in the chat if you're watching live, or even in the replay. So some people come back and watch the replay to see this. Okay. All right. So if you're feeling like Angel so far, let's see how you respond in the chat. Okay. So as we go on through Angel's story, he's telling her that her body was adapting. And when you repeatedly do things like dieting, especially stuff like severe restriction, your body doesn't see weight loss goals. It sees scarcity. So it thinks that I'm not going to get food ever again, and I'm going to hold on to everything that I have. And this is what severe restriction. So it responds intelligently because our body is very smart. It is always wants to go into survival mode. So what happens when our body responds to scarcity or severe restriction. Our metabolism slows down and hunger hormones increase, our energy level drops, and fat storage becomes more efficient. So it's storing up things, trying to get for a time again as this. So it's like, I'm never going to be in a situation, our body is thinking this, I'm never going to be in a situation to where I am going to not have enough energy stored, energy meaning to just keep the body going stored. So Angel's body, it wasn't failing her, it was actually protecting her. And again, a lot of us may feel the same thing as long with Angel's story, that we wanted to feel like we were doing all the right things, but it felt like our body was betraying us. But in fact, our body was trying to protect us. So when I explained this to her, she was like, whew, so I'm not broken. And I said, no, your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do. And in that moment alone, it came change and everything just like lightened up for her. And as we talked more, another pattern emerged, and we're like, okay, so Angel wasn't just dieting, she was exhausted. Okay. She wasn't sleeping. And she was only sleeping like 4 or 5 hours a night. She was carrying a lot of emotional weight, constantly always on the go, 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 and rarely resting. Okay. So stress hormones, we talked about them before, like cortisol level was elevated, and cortisol is very powerful because let me tell you this, like high cortisol tells the body to store fat, to hold on to weight, to crave quick energy. So things like sugar and caffeine that we want to drink to, and or our bodies will crave that with high cortisol, and it will disrupt blood sugar. So we have up and down, up and down, up and down. So even when Angel ate well, her physiology was working against her. So I told her, if your body doesn't feel safe, it won't let go. Okay. So we want to make sure our body feels safe. And we talked about this in other videos. So you can go back and watch a few other things about making sure your body feels safe. So she was like, man, this, makes sense for the first time. Like it made sense. So, she was like, okay, I understand now. So, what we did was like, okay, we're not going to, do severe restriction. Instead of, cutting out more food, we did the opposite. We focused on, of course, adding in things. So instead of subtraction, instead of restriction, we were adding and building in abundance, the abundance mindset. And we know that sometimes when we are feeling that we have lack, that tend to hold on to extra things that we don't need to hold on to. So when we think of abundance, we're like, we have the whole world in front of us. And the same thing can happen for our actual bodies when we're talking about our health and wellness. So what did we focus on for her? We focus on fiber rich foods, because most time in the US, we are very fiber deficient, and we want to make sure that we get in those foods because fiber does a lot for our body. And then also the fiber rich foods have a lot of other nutrients in there. We focus on whole foods with minimally minimally processed meals. So I know in the day and age where we have to like grab things and go, there's still so many things that we can grab that are whole foods. Okay. So we want to look for those things. And then with the fiber, we want to make sure that we get protein. And so protein is a big topic that I always get a lot about when I talk about eating more plant-based and plant-based foods, because that's the fiber-rich foods. When I say eating more protein, I'm not necessarily saying or getting an adequate amount of protein. I'm not saying you want to eat more meat or animal related products. Protein are little amino acids that are found also in plants. So what would that be? It would be like beans and lentils and green leafy vegetables. So you would get an adequate amount of protein. And we'll look at that as you'll hear in our story about how to get that for your body. And of course, regular eating patterns. So we don't want to be in the scarcity mindset again. And when our friend, patient, client Angel, um, was starting to do these things, what happened? And this did not take months. She started to have decreased cravings. Her energy actually improved and stabilized. So it wasn't like she was feeling down all the time. She stopped thinking about food all day. So some people call that food noise. So where they're always craving food and wanting food, even when they're not hungry. And for the first time in years, her body felt nourished and not threatened. So that is amazing, right? When our body actually feels nourished, it actually starts to release. So it releases that extra emotion, it releases those extra hormones, it releases that fat storage that we could never get rid of. Because remember, when we were in that scarcity mode and our body was trying to protect ourselves, it actually stores fat for a future time because it never knows when it's going to need it. So it actually is very smart. So Angel was so relieved with actually feeling this in her body that she was like, oh my gosh, I feel nourished. I feel alive. And it is like, I thought I was doing everything right. And again, it wasn't that she wasn't trying. It was just like, she was like, I thought what I was doing was right. And some of the things we just needed to tweak a little bit for her. Okay. So the next thing that we talked about for Angel was going with movement. So she was doing her exercising and really like she hated the exercise because she felt like just exhausted afterwards because she felt like it was just so much punishment to go through all these exercise routines. But we talked about that movement should actually promote healing. It should not promote punishment. It should not promote exhaustion. But we want to build consistency. So some strength training is very important, especially as our body continues to age, especially for women, because a lot of times we leave that out. Strength training is very good. So we want some type of resistance training. And that's what we talked about for her, but not to the point that her body was punished. She may be a little bit sore, but not where like a mummy, like, oh my gosh, I can't move one muscle in my body because everything hurts. We don't want to go to that extent. We want to make sure that we're stretching like every single day. And that's something we talked about also because most time we're like, go, go, go. We're going to, run. We're going to walk. We're going to do cardio. We're going to do the weights. And then we forget to actually let our body do some recovering with stretching. So that was a big emphasis for Angel also to make sure that she stayed limber and, didn't feel like overworked in her muscles. And then once she started to do this, then her body started to respond again. So her body didn't feel like it was going through a punishment. It didn't feel like she needed to be um like in the stress mode. So she was like, okay, that's good. And then again, that's when things were shifting again for her. So it is wonderful when your body actually goes through these things and you actually see that your body is not actually working against you, it's actually working for you. Even when you like, even at the beginning of Angel's story where like she was doing everything and then it seems like her body was against her, actually her body again was trying to protect her. So we just need usually to talk through these things, tweak a little things there, here and there. And if you actually can actually see some parts of Angel's story in yourself, then that's what exactly we do here at Atkins Enlightenment Lifestyle Medicine. So you heard me talk about, different things that we would actually work with her. Again, this was not in one visit. I just want to put that out there. It's not in one visit, but we really get to the underlying things in the initial visit and then subsequently work on these things for her and well for you if you decide to join us and actually see these results. Okay, so it's not just one part of the story. So what would we do? We help people understand what's blocking their weight loss. We help work with your metabolism. We help you to improve your blood sugars and blood pressure and to build habits that last beyond the program. So a lot of people, like I said, like an Angel story, tried all these different types of things, tried different programs, and then felt like that the program just failed them. But we actually started to instill habits for that she can actually do that actually, even if she fell off track, because we know life gets busy, life consistency, sometimes the consistency is not always there, but to know how to get back on track is almost 75% of the battle of getting on track, because you're like, I'm already off. I don't know what to do. Where do I start? And so those are the habits that we build in for each and every person so they know how to get back on track. So you don't feel like you're in a program for life, like a life sentence, but you have the tools to empower you to keep going. Okay. So you don't have to have any guess to it anymore. And if you are ready for this type of guidance, please, I invite you to come into our world with Atkins Enlightenment Lifestyle Medicine at www.dramandamd.com. And you can click on the services tab to see the different options that we have available. And you will see that we have a self-study, whole food cleanse. So if you're a person that's like, I just need a little bit of getting back on track, then that cleanse is like awesome. I've had so many people go through that and they're like 5 days and they're back on track and, shooting through the moon. So you have that. Then you have the services that we have is medical consultations, to where we can actually help for people that specifically have pre-diabetes, a diagnosis of that, diabetes, or high blood pressure. And so that is available in 10 states. So you can look at those states on the website for the specific medical consultation if you're looking for that. And then if you're looking like, I've tried all these things before, I even tried the cleanse, I was doing good for a while, but I need some deeper work with coaching and support. Not that I want to necessarily do more, but just more support around when like life throws different things at me. What can I do to actually build those habits? And that's what I was talking about, building those habits beyond that program. Okay. So we have things at different levels for everyone. So if you feel like Angel, like at the beginning of the story, to where it's just like you've tried everything and nothing's worked. As you see, as we progress through her story, she's worked with me and actually seeing results and actually doing well. And every now and then, sends needs a little tweaking. That's where the coaching comes in. And she's like, okay, I'm back on track and I can do this. So if that's you, don't hesitate today to go to www.dramandamd.com and go to our services page so you can see what the next best option is for you. Okay. No option is wrong. You can start at any level. And you can definitely, reach out to me if you have questions about any of the levels, and I'll definitely help you out and help you to make the decision. So now walk with me. Walk with me. Imagine waking up, trusting your body again, and imagine food feeling simple and not stressful. Imagine your energy returning, your blood test improving to where your doctor's like, who are you? This doesn't even line up to what you were doing before. And imagine no longer blaming yourself, saying that like my body isn't working or that I was failing. Instead, imagine I was never failing. I just needed the right support. Remember, your body is wise and it responds when it's supported correctly. And guess what? Your story isn't over, right? So blessings and health to y'all. And I hope that Angel's story inspires you to keep going. And then if you need that extra support, don't forget to reach out and share this video with someone that you love that knows they can use the information. All right. Blessings and health to y'all. And bye-bye. See you next time.